Chapter 1: Laying Plans. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war is very important for the country. It can be the difference between life and death, leading to safety or destruction. So it is something that must never be ignored." The art of war is based on 5 important factors. These should be considered when trying to understand the situation on the battlefield. These are: first, the moral law; second, the heaven; third, the earth; fourth, the commander; fifth, method and discipline. The moral law makes the people completely support their leader, willing to follow him no matter the risk or danger. Heaven represents day and night, weather and seasons. Earth includes distance, safety, open spaces, narrow paths, and the chances of life or death. The commander represents qualities like wisdom, honesty, kindness, bravery, and discipline. Method and discipline mean organizing the army into proper groups, setting ranks for officers, maintaining supply routes, and controlling military spending. Every general should understand these 5 points. The one who knows them will win, and the one who doesn't will fail. So, when deciding on the military situation, use these factors as a basis for comparison. First, which ruler follows the moral law? Second, which general has the most skill? Third, which side benefits more from heaven and earth? Fourth, where is discipline stricter? Fifth, which army is stronger? Sixth, which side has better trained soldiers and officers? Seventh, which army has more consistency in rewards and punishments? By means of these 7 considerations, I can forecast victory or defeat. The general who listens to my advice and follows it will win. Keep that person in command. The general who ignores my advice and doesn't act on it will lose. Remove that person from command. While following my advice, also take advantage of any special circumstances beyond the usual rules. When conditions are favorable, adjust your plans accordingly. All warfare relies on deception, so when we can attack, we must appear unable to. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are close, we must make the enemy think we are far. When we are far, we must make them believe we are close. Lure the enemy with false promises. Pretend to be disorganized, then strike. If he is well prepared, be ready for him. If he is stronger, avoid him. If your enemy is easily angered, try to provoke him. Act weak to make him overconfident. If he is relaxed, keep him on edge. If his forces are united, break them apart. Attack where he is unprepared and appear where he doesn't expect you. These strategies that led to victory should not be revealed in advance. The general who wins a battle makes many plans before the fight. The general who loses makes only a few plans. Many plans lead to victory. Few plans lead to defeat. No plans at all lead to disaster. By paying attention to this, I can predict who will win or lose. In this chapter, Sun Tzu says planning is key to winning a battle. War is very important for the country and has 5 main parts: the moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline. These parts help us understand the situation and decide if we will win or lose. A general who plans well before the battle is more likely to win. A general who doesn't plan or makes bad plans is likely to lose. Deception is an important part of war. Plans should change based on what is happening. Good leadership, discipline, and strategy lead to success. Ignoring these things will lead to failure. By following these rules, we can predict and win the battle. Summary of Chapter 1. Sun Tzu begins by emphasizing how critical the art of war is for a nation. It's a matter of survival and must never be taken lightly. He introduces 5 key factors that every leader must understand to succeed in war. The moral law unites the people, ensuring they fully support their leader even in difficult times. Heaven refers to natural forces such as time, weather, and seasons, while earth encompasses factors like terrain, distances, and the chances of survival on the battlefield. The commander represents a leader's essential qualities, including wisdom, honesty, kindness, bravery, and discipline. Lastly, method and discipline involve the proper organization of the army, establishing clear ranks, maintaining efficient supply routes, and effectively managing resources. Sun Tzu then lists 7 questions to assess a military situation. Which side follows the moral law better? Which leader is more skilled? Which army benefits more from the terrain and weather? Where is discipline stronger? Which army is more powerful, better trained, and consistent in rewarding or punishing? Using these questions, Sun Tzu says, you can predict victory or defeat. He stresses the importance of planning and adaptability. A good general makes detailed plans before a battle. The more plans, the higher the chance of success. Deception is vital. Trick the enemy into underestimating you. Make them think you're weak when you're strong, far away when you're close, or disorganized when you're ready to strike. Adjust your strategies based on changing circumstances. Finally, Sun Tzu warns that success in war comes from discipline, strong leadership, and clever strategy. Failure comes from neglecting these principles. By following his advice, a general can predict outcomes and lead their army to victory. Chapter 2: Waging War. Sun Tzu explained that the cost of war is immense. To field an army of 100,000 soldiers equipped with swift chariots, heavy chariots, and proper provisions for long campaigns, the daily expense can reach 1,000 ounces of silver. This includes not only food and supplies, but also the cost of maintaining equipment, repairing chariots, and handling other necessities. Raising and sustaining a large army requires significant resources, both at home and on the battlefield. If a battle takes too long, weapons will wear out and soldiers will lose their energy and motivation. If you attack a town for too long, it will drain your strength. If a war lasts too long, the country's resources will run out. When your weapons are worn out, your soldiers lose motivation, your strength is gone, and your resources are used up. Others will seize the chance to attack you. At that point, no one, no matter how wise, can stop the disaster that follows. We've heard of people rushing into war foolishly, but no one has ever called long delays in war a smart move. No country has ever gained from long-lasting wars. Only someone who truly understands the hardships of war can know the best way to conduct it. A skilled soldier does not call for extra troops, nor does he load his supply wagons more than twice. Bring supplies from home, but gather food from the enemy. This way, the army will have enough to eat. When the country has little money, it relies on contributions from far away to support the army. These contributions can leave the people struggling financially. When an army is nearby, prices rise, and high prices drain the people's wealth. When their resources are used up, the farmers will suffer from high taxes and demands. As the country loses its resources and strength, the people's homes will be emptied, and nearly 1/3 of their income will be spent. Meanwhile, the government's costs for damaged chariots, worn-out horses, armor, weapons, shields, and supplies like oxen and wagons will use up 40% of its total income. A smart general focuses on taking supplies from the enemy. 1 cart of the enemy's food is worth 20 of their own, and 1 load of the enemy's provisions is worth 20 from their own stores. To defeat the enemy, our soldiers must be motivated by anger. To make victory worthwhile, they should be promised rewards. In chariot battles, when we capture 10 or more chariots, reward those who took the first ones. Replace the enemy's flags with ours, mix the captured chariots with our own, and use them together. Treat the captured soldiers kindly and keep them safe. This is called using the enemy you've defeated to increase your own power. In war, focus on winning, not on fighting long battles. The leader of the army holds the power to decide the nation's future. It is up to him whether the country will be at peace or face danger. In this chapter, Sun Tzu says, war is expensive and draining. A smart general knows that a prolonged conflict weakens both the army and the nation. By focusing on quick victories, using the enemy's resources, and motivating soldiers with rewards, a leader can conserve strength and minimize costs. The leader's decisions determine whether the nation enjoys peace or faces destruction. The goal is always to win swiftly, not to engage in endless battles. Summary of Chapter 2: In this chapter, Sun Tzu emphasizes the immense cost of war and the importance of efficiency. Fielding a large army requires enormous resources, not just food and supplies, but also the maintenance of equipment and provisions for extended campaigns. Prolonged conflicts wear down soldiers, exhaust weapons, and drain a nation's strength, leaving it vulnerable to attacks and eventual ruin. No country benefits from lengthy wars. A wise general understands this and focuses on strategies to achieve quick victories. Instead of overburdening the homeland with excessive demands, a skilled leader takes resources from the enemy, making their supplies worth far more than those brought from home. This not only sustains the army, but also reduces the strain on the nation's people and economy. Sun Tzu advises motivating soldiers with rewards and channeling their anger toward defeating the enemy. In battles, captured resources and equipment should be repurposed, and enemy soldiers treated well to strengthen one's own forces. Victory, he explains, comes not from prolonged fighting, but from swift and decisive action. Ultimately, the fate of the nation lies in the hands of its leader. A capable commander ensures the army's strength and the nation's stability by avoiding drawn-out conflicts and prioritizing efficient, resourceful strategies to secure peace. The key is to win swiftly and wisely, minimizing the heavy toll of war. Chapter 3: Attack by Stratagem. Sun Tzu said that in war, the best strategy is to take the enemy's territory without destroying it. Breaking it apart is less ideal. Similarly, it's better to capture an enemy army, regiment, or unit whole rather than destroy them. Winning every battle is not the greatest achievement. The greatest success is defeating the enemy without having to fight. The best strategy for a general is to disrupt the enemy's plans. The second best is to stop the enemy from uniting their forces. Next is fighting the enemy in open battle. The worst strategy is attacking walled cities. Avoid attacking walled cities unless absolutely necessary. Building protective shields, shelters, and war tools takes 3 months, and creating mounds to breach the walls takes another 3 months. If a general loses patience, he might recklessly send his soldiers to attack, like ants swarming. This can lead to heavy losses, with many soldiers killed and the town still not captured. Such are the dangers of a siege. That is why a skilled leader defeats the enemy's army without fighting, takes their cities without a siege, and conquers their kingdom without long battles. By keeping his forces strong, he will challenge the empire's control, achieving victory without losing a single soldier. This is the strategy of attacking through clever tactics. In war, the rule is simple. If we have 10 times more soldiers than the enemy, we surround them. If we have 5 times more, we attack. If we have twice as many, we split our army into 2. If our forces are equal, we can fight. If we have fewer troops, we can avoid battle. If we are much weaker, we can retreat. Even though a small force may put up a strong fight, the larger force will eventually capture them. The general is the protector of the country. If the protection is strong in every area, the country will be strong. If the protection is weak in any part, the country will be weak. There are 3 ways in which a ruler can bring misfortune upon his army. First, by commanding the army to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that it cannot obey. This is called hobbling the army. Second, trying to manage an army the same way as a kingdom without understanding the army's needs creates confusion and restlessness among the soldiers. Third, using army officers without considering their abilities or the situation can undermine the soldiers' trust and confidence. When the army becomes uneasy and lacks trust, problems will arise from other leaders. This causes chaos in the army and leads to losing the chance for victory. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. First, he will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Second, he will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. Third, he will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. Fourth, he will win who prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. Fifth, He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Summary of Chapter 3. In this chapter, Sun Tzu emphasizes the art of winning wars without unnecessary destruction. The ideal strategy is to capture the enemy's territory and forces intact, avoiding needless ruin. True mastery lies not in fighting countless battles, but in achieving victory without combat. The most effective generals disrupt their opponents' plans, prevent their forces from uniting, and only resort to open battle when it's unavoidable. Sieging walled cities is considered the poorest strategy, as it demands immense time and resources while causing heavy casualties. Patience and clever tactics allow skilled leaders to overcome enemies while preserving their own strength. Sun Tzu highlights that a strong general safeguards the nation's stability. Missteps in leadership, such as giving unrealistic commands, failing to understand the army's needs, or appointing unsuitable officers, lead to confusion, distrust, and defeat. Victory comes from knowing when to act, maintaining unity among the troops, and preparing strategically while catching the enemy off guard. Above all, understanding both oneself and the enemy is the key to success. Without this knowledge, defeat is inevitable, no matter the circumstances. Chapter 4, Tactical Dispositions. Sun Tzu said, "Skilled fighters from the past first ensured they couldn't be defeated, then waited for the right chance to defeat their enemy." To secure ourselves against defeat lies in our own hands, but the opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Thus, the good fighter is able to secure himself against defeat, but cannot make certain of defeating the enemy. Hence the saying, one may know how to conquer without being able to do it. Staying safe from defeat requires strong defense, but defeating the enemy needs taking the offense. Defending means you don't have enough strength, while attacking shows you have more than enough strength. A skilled defender stays hidden and protected in the safest places, while a skilled attacker strikes swiftly and powerfully from above. This way, you can ensure both strong defense and total victory. True excellence is not just seeing victory when it's obvious to everyone. It is not the highest achievement if you win a battle and the whole empire simply says, "Well done." Lifting a single strand of hair doesn't show great strength. Seeing the sun and moon doesn't mean you have sharp vision. Hearing thunder doesn't mean you have keen hearing. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. Hence his victories bring him neither reputation for wisdom nor credit for courage. He wins by avoiding mistakes. Not making mistakes ensures victory because it means the enemy is already defeated. Hence, the skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible, and does not miss the moment for defeating the enemy. In war, a wise strategist only fights when victory is already certain, while someone headed for defeat fights first and hopes for victory later. A great leader follows the moral code and maintains strict discipline. By doing so, they can ensure success. In military strategy, there are 5 key steps. First, measurement. Second, estimating the quantity. Third, calculation. Fourth, balancing the risks. And fifth, achieving victory. Measurement comes from the earth. Estimating quantity comes from measurement. Calculation comes from estimating quantity. Balancing chances comes from calculation. And victory comes from balancing chances. A victorious army is much stronger than a defeated one, like a heavy weight compared to a single grain. The attack of a powerful army is like a flood breaking through a deep canyon. Summary of Chapter 4. In this chapter, Sun Tzu emphasizes that true skill in warfare lies in ensuring your own safety while waiting for the enemy to provide an opening for their defeat. A wise fighter secures their position defensively, relying on their own strength to avoid mistakes, while victory depends on exploiting the enemy's vulnerabilities. Mastery involves striking decisively and powerfully when the time is right, ensuring success with minimal effort. Sun Tzu highlights that true excellence isn't just about obvious victories, but about winning with such ease that it appears effortless. A clever strategist avoids errors, which naturally leads to victory, as mistakes are the enemy's downfall. A great leader combines moral integrity with strict discipline, paving the way for inevitable success. Success in war comes from careful preparation, beginning with understanding the terrain, assessing resources, and calculating risks. A victorious army is like a powerful flood, overwhelming everything in its path, while a defeated one is fragile and weak. Through meticulous planning and seizing the right moment, victory is secured with precision and strength. Chapter 5: Energy. Sun Tzu said, "Controlling a large army is similar to controlling a small group. It's just about organizing them into smaller units." Leading a large army is no different from leading a small one. The key is using clear signs and signals to communicate. To make sure your army can handle the enemy's attack and stay strong, you need to use both direct and indirect strategies. To make your army as powerful as a grindstone smashing an egg, you must understand the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. In any battle, you can fight directly to engage the enemy, but using smart and indirect strategies is key to winning. Indirect tactics, when used wisely, are limitless like the sky and earth, continuous like flowing rivers. They repeat like the sun and moon rising and setting, and like the changing seasons that always come back again. There are only 5 musical notes, but they can be combined in countless ways to create endless melodies. There are only 5 basic colors: blue, yellow, red, white, and black. But when combined, they create countless shades and tones. There are only 5 main tastes: sour, spicy, salty, sweet, and bitter. But mixing them creates endless flavors. In battle, there are 2 main ways to attack: direct and indirect. When used together, these 2 methods create many different strategies. The direct and indirect approaches are connected and lead into each other. It's like going in circles where there's no end. No one can fully explore all the possible combinations of these methods. The attack of troops is like a powerful flood, strong enough to carry stones along with it. A good decision is like a falcon's swift strike, hitting its target at the right moment. A skilled fighter will be fierce when attacking and quick to make decisions. Energy is like pulling back a crossbow, while decision is like releasing the trigger. In the chaos of battle, things may seem disordered, but there might be no real disorder. Even if your forces appear scattered, they can still remain strong and difficult to defeat. Pretending to be disorganized requires great discipline. Pretending to be afraid requires courage. Pretending to be weak shows real strength. Hiding order in chaos is about breaking things into smaller parts. Pretending to be weak while having hidden strength requires inner energy. Showing weakness to cover strength is done through smart planning and strategy. A skilled leader keeps the enemy distracted by creating false appearances. By giving up something, they make the enemy think it's valuable and go after it. He uses traps to keep the enemy moving, then waits for them with a group of carefully chosen soldiers. A smart fighter focuses on teamwork and doesn't expect too much from each person. This way, he can choose the right people and use their combined strength. When a leader uses combined energy, his soldiers become like rolling logs or stones. A log or stone stays still on flat ground, but moves when on a slope. If the log is square, it stops, but if it's round, it rolls down easily. The energy of skilled fighters is like a heavy stone rolling down a mountain. It builds up strength as it goes. That's all there is to say about energy. Summary of Chapter 5: Energy. In this chapter, Sun Tzu says, controlling a large army is like controlling a small group. It's about organizing them well. Communication should be clear and consistent. Success in battle comes from using both direct and indirect strategies. A good leader understands the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. Indirect tactics are limitless and can be very effective when used wisely. Just like music notes, colors, and tastes can be combined in many ways, so can battle strategies. In battle, using both direct and indirect approaches creates various strategies. These methods are interconnected and can lead to many possibilities. A strong attack is like a powerful flood, and good decisions are swift and precise. Even in chaos, a well-prepared army can stay strong. Pretending to be weak requires inner strength and smart planning. A skilled leader distracts the enemy with false appearances and waits for the right moment with a chosen group of soldiers. A smart fighter focuses on teamwork and uses the combined strength of the team. The energy of skilled fighters builds up like a heavy stone rolling down a mountain. Chapter 6: Weak Points and Strong. Sun Tzu said, "The army that reaches the battlefield first and waits for the enemy will be rested and ready to fight. The army that arrives later and rushes into battle will be tired." Therefore, the clever combatant imposes his will on the enemy, but does not allow the enemy's will to be imposed on him. By offering benefits, he can lure the enemy closer. By causing harm, he can keep the enemy away. If the enemy is relaxed, you can disturb him. If he has plenty of food, you can cut it off. If he is settled, you can force him to move. Show up where the enemy must rush to defend, and move quickly to places where they don't expect you. An army can travel far without trouble if it moves through areas where there is no enemy. You will win if you attack where there is no defense. You will stay safe if you defend where you cannot be attacked. A skilled attacker confuses the enemy, leaving them unsure of what to defend. A skilled defender does the same, leaving the enemy unsure of what to attack. O sacred art of subtlety and secrecy, you teach us to stay unseen and unheard, allowing us to control the enemy's fate. You can be unstoppable if you attack the enemy's weak spots. You can retreat safely if you move faster than they do. If we want to fight, we can make the enemy engage, even if he is protected by a high wall and a deep trench. All we need to do is attack a different place that forces him to come to its defense. If we don't want to fight, we can stop the enemy from attacking, even if our camp is just marked on the ground. All we have to do is put something strange and unexpected in their path. By finding out where the enemy is and staying hidden, we can keep our forces strong, while the enemy's forces will be scattered. We can come together as one strong force, while the enemy will have to divide into smaller groups. This means we will be united against their broken parts, making us many and them few. If we can attack a weaker force with a stronger one, our opponents will be in serious trouble. We should keep the location of our fight a secret. If the enemy knows, they will prepare for attacks in many places. This will spread their forces out, and we will only face a small number of them at any one point. If the enemy makes his front stronger, his back will become weaker. If he makes his back stronger, his front will become weaker. If he strengthens his left side, his right side will be weaker. If he strengthens his right side, his left side will be weaker. If he sends help to every part, he will be weak in every part. Numerical weakness arises when we must get ready for possible attacks. Numerical strength comes from forcing our enemy to prepare for attacks from us. By knowing the location and time of the upcoming battle, we can gather from far distances to prepare for the fight. If we don't know the time or place, the left side can't help the right side, and the right side can't help the left side. The front can't support the back, and the back can't support the front. It's even worse if the army's farthest parts are less than 100 li apart, and the closest parts are separated by several li. Even though I think the soldiers of UA outnumber ours, this won't help them win. I believe victory is still possible. Even if the enemy has more people, we can stop him from fighting. Plan carefully to learn his intentions and how likely they are to succeed. Wake him up and understand why he acts or doesn't act. Make him show his true self to uncover his weaknesses. Compare your army with the enemy's army carefully. This will help you understand where your forces are strong and where they are weak. When making tactical plans, the best approach is to keep them hidden. If you hide your plans, you will be safe from the most skilled spies and the cleverest minds. The crowd cannot understand how victory can be gained by using the enemy's own strategies. Everyone can see the methods I use to win, but no one can see the plan that leads to my success. Don't rely on the same tactics that gave you one victory. Instead, adjust your methods based on the many different situations you face. Military tactics are like water. Just as water flows from high places and moves downwards naturally. In war, the strategy is to stay away from what is strong and attack what is weak. Water flows in the way that matches the land it moves over. The soldier plans his victory based on the enemy he is up against. Just like water doesn't keep a fixed shape in war, there are no constant situations. A person who can adjust their strategies according to their opponent and still win is a true natural leader. The 5 elements, water, fire, wood, metal, and earth, are not always in the same balance. The 4 seasons come one after the other. Some days are short and some are long. The moon goes through phases of getting bigger and smaller. Summary of Chapter 6. In this chapter, Sun Tzu explores the art of strategic positioning in battle. He emphasizes that a well-prepared army, one that reaches the battlefield first, holds the advantage of being rested and ready, while a late arrival leads to exhaustion and vulnerability. The essence of strategy lies in imposing your will on the enemy while evading their control over you. By offering benefits, you can draw the enemy in, and by creating hardships, you can keep them at bay. Effective tactics involve exploiting the enemy's weaknesses, disrupting their stability, and forcing them into a reactive position. By appearing where they least expect and vanishing where they cannot defend, you gain the upper hand. Victory comes from striking undefended positions and defending in ways that cannot be countered. Skilled leaders use deception, remaining unseen and unpredictable, ensuring the enemy is always off balance. Sun Tzu highlights the importance of unity and secrecy. An army united in purpose can overpower a scattered enemy force. Keeping plans hidden forces the opponent to stretch their defenses thin, creating opportunities for decisive attacks. Flexibility in strategy is paramount. Just as water adapts to the shape of the land, so must a commander adjust tactics to match the ever-changing dynamics of war. Ultimately, success in battle comes from understanding the enemy deeply, revealing their intentions, uncovering their vulnerabilities, and responding with precision. Like the elements and seasons that constantly change, so too must strategies evolve. The true leader is one who can adapt to any situation and emerge victorious. Chapter 7, Maneuvering. Sun Tzu said, "In war, the general follows the orders given by the ruler. After gathering an army and bringing his forces together, he must unite and organize them properly before setting up camp. Next comes tactical maneuvering, which is one of the hardest things to do. The challenge lies in turning indirect moves into direct ones and turning problems into opportunities. To take a long and winding path, lure the enemy away, and then, even starting later, manage to reach the goal before them. This shows skill in using clever tactics. Leading an army brings advantages, but leading an untrained crowd is very risky. If you send a fully prepared army to seize an advantage, you might be too late. And if you send a smaller, faster group, they'll have to leave their supplies behind. Hence, if you push your men to roll up their sleeves and march without rest, day and night, covering twice the usual distance in one go, traveling 100 li to gain an advantage, the leaders of all 3 divisions will end up captured by the enemy. The stronger men will lead the way, the tired ones will lag behind, and with this approach, only 1/10 of your army will make it to the end. If you march 50 li to outsmart the enemy, your led troops will fall behind, and only half your army will make it to the destination. If you march 30 li with the same goal, 2/3 of your army will reach their destination. An army without its supply line is doomed. Without food, it's doomed. Without sources of support, it's doomed. We can't form alliances until we understand the plans of those around us. We are not ready to lead an army unless we know the land. Its mountains and forests, its dangers and cliffs, its swamps and marshes. We won't be able to make the most of natural advantages unless we use local guides. In battle, use deception and you will prevail. Deciding whether to focus or split your forces depends on the situation. Move swiftly like the wind and be solid like the forest. In raiding and plundering, be as fierce as fire. In steadiness, be like a mountain. Keep your plans hidden and mysterious like the night, and strike suddenly and powerfully when the time comes. When you take over a land, share the loot among your men. When you conquer new land, divide it into sections for the soldiers to benefit. Think carefully and take your time before taking action. He who masters the skill of diversion will triumph. This is the essence of strategy. The Book of Army Management says, "On the battlefield, spoken words don't travel far enough, which is why gongs and drums are used. Ordinary objects also aren't visible enough, so banners and flags are used. Gongs and drums, banners and flags, are ways to capture the attention of the host, directing their focus to one specific point. The host, thus forming a single united body, makes it impossible either for the brave to advance alone or for the cowardly to retreat alone. This is the art of handling large masses of men. In night battles, use signal fires and drums a lot, and during day battles, use flags and banners to affect the sight and hearing of your army. An entire army can lose its strength, and a lighter can lose his ability to think clearly. A soldier feels most energetic in the morning. By noon, his energy starts to fade. In the evening, all he thinks about is getting back to camp. A smart general stays away from an army when it's strong and motivated, but attacks when it is weak and ready to retreat. This is the skill of understanding emotions. Stay calm and disciplined, ready to face chaos and noise from the enemy. This is the skill of keeping control over yourself. The art of saving your strength is to be close to your goal while the enemy is far from it, to rest while the enemy works hard, and to be well fed while the enemy is hungry. It is a basic rule in the military not to move up a hill when facing the enemy, or to stand in their way when they come down. Don't chase an enemy pretending to run away, and don't attack soldiers who are quick to anger. Don't take the enemy's bait. Don't get involved with an army that's on its way home. When you trap an army, always leave them a way to escape. Don't push a desperate enemy too far. Such is the art of warfare. Summary of Chapter 7. In this chapter, Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of careful planning and strategy in warfare. A general must follow the orders of the ruler, but first, they need to organize their forces and set up camp. Tactical maneuvering, which involves turning challenges into opportunities, is one of the most difficult aspects of warfare. A good general knows how to take a longer path to outsmart the enemy and reach the goal first. He warns that leading an untrained crowd is risky, and sending an army without proper preparation or supplies can lead to failure. The army must always have a reliable supply line to ensure success. Before forming alliances or leading troops, a general must understand the terrain and local conditions, using guides when necessary. Deception is key in battle, and a general must be able to adapt, deciding whether to focus or split forces depending on the situation. Speed, strength, and stealth are essential. Move quickly when needed and be solid when necessary. In raiding, be fierce, but in steadiness, be like a mountain. Plans should remain hidden and executed at the right moment for maximum impact. Sun Tzu stresses that the successful use of diversion and deception leads to victory. He also discusses the importance of communication during battles, using drums, flags, and banners to direct the army's focus and maintain unity. The emotional state of soldiers should be carefully managed, with a good general attacking when the enemy is weak, not when they are strong. The chapter concludes with advice on conserving strength, staying disciplined, and knowing when to avoid direct confrontation. A general should never chase a retreating enemy or attack an angry soldier, and should always leave an escape route for trapped forces. This is the essence of strategic warfare. Chapter 8, Variation in Tactics. Sun Tzu said, "In war, the leader follows orders from the ruler, gathers his army, and focuses his strength. When you're in a tough place, don't settle down. In areas where main roads meet, work together with your allies. Avoid staying in risky, isolated spots. If you're surrounded, use clever tactics. When you're in a hopeless situation, you must fight. Some roads should not be taken. Some armies should not be fought. Some towns should not be attacked. Some positions should not be challenged. And some orders from a ruler should not be followed. A general who understands the benefits of changing tactics knows how to lead his soldiers effectively. A general who doesn't understand these things might know the layout of the country, but he won't be able to use that knowledge effectively. A student of war who doesn't know how to change his plans, even if he understands the 5 advantages, will not use his soldiers effectively. So, in the wise leader's plans, both the benefits and the drawbacks will be carefully considered. If we adjust our expectations of gain in this way, we might succeed in achieving the important part of our plans. If, in tough times, we are always ready to take advantage of opportunities, we can free ourselves from bad situations. Weaken the enemy leaders by causing harm to them, create problems for them, and keep them busy. Offer tempting rewards to make them quickly move toward a specific location. The art of war teaches us not to depend on the enemy not coming, but on being ready for them. It's not about hoping they won't attack, but about making sure our position is strong and cannot be beaten. A general can suffer from 5 harmful faults. First, recklessness, which causes destruction. Second, cowardice, which leads to being captured. Third, a quick temper, which can be triggered by insults. Fourth, a fragile sense of honor, which is easily shamed. Fifth, overcaring for his soldiers, which brings stress and trouble. These are the 5 common mistakes a general can make, which can seriously harm the outcome of a war. When an army is defeated and its leader killed, the reason will likely be one of these 5 serious mistakes. Think about them carefully. Summary of Chapter 8. In this chapter, Sun Tzu emphasizes the importance of flexibility in leadership and tactics during war. He advises that in difficult situations, it's crucial not to settle, but instead to adapt by working with allies and avoiding risky, isolated positions. If surrounded or trapped, using clever strategies can help turn the tide. Some paths should be avoided, certain battles should not be fought, and there are times when it's wiser not to follow a ruler's orders. A wise general knows when to adjust tactics and can lead soldiers effectively. If a leader fails to adapt, even with a solid understanding of the terrain, they may not be able to utilize their resources properly. Being a student of war isn't just about knowing the strategy, but also about being able to change plans when necessary. Wise leaders weigh both benefits and risks, adjusting their expectations accordingly, and can find success even in tough situations by staying ready for opportunities. Sun Tzu also advises creating distractions for enemy leaders, weakening their focus, and drawing them towards specific locations. He teaches that war is not about hoping the enemy won't come, but about being prepared for them no matter what. A general must avoid 5 major faults: recklessness, cowardice, a quick temper, a fragile sense of honor, and overcaring for soldiers. Each of these can lead to disastrous consequences. When an army is defeated, one of these mistakes is often to blame. Chapter 9, The Army on the March. Sun Tzu said, "We will now talk about how to set up camp and watch for signs of the enemy, quickly cross mountains and stay near valleys. Set up camp in high places, facing the sun. Don't climb higher just to fight. That's how to deal with mountains. After crossing a river, move far away from it. When the enemy crosses a river, don't meet them in the middle of the stream. Let half of their army cross, then attack. If you want to fight, don't meet the enemy near a river they need to cross. Anchor your boats higher than the enemy, facing the sun. Don't move upstream to meet them. That's how to fight in rivers. When crossing marshes, move through them quickly without stopping. If you must fight in a marsh, make sure you have water and grass nearby and stay near trees. That's how to deal with marshes. In flat, dry land, find a place that's easy to access, with rising ground behind you for safety. That's how to fight on flat land. These 4 types of knowledge helped the Yellow Emperor defeat 4 different kings. Armies prefer high ground to low, and sunny places to dark ones. If you care for your soldiers and camp on hard ground, they'll avoid sickness, which means victory. When on a hill, camp on the sunny side, with the slope behind you. This will help your soldiers and use the land to your advantage. If heavy rain has made a river too high to cross, wait until it goes down. Stay away from areas with cliffs, deep holes, and thick thickets. Don't approach these places. While avoiding such places, try to get the enemy to approach them. Face these places and let the enemy have them behind them. If you camp near hilly areas, ponds, or forests with thick plants, check carefully for hidden enemies or spies. When the enemy is close but stays quiet, they are using the strength of their position. If the enemy stays far away and tries to provoke you into a fight, they want you to move forward. If the enemy's camp is easy to reach, they are trying to lure you in. Movement in the trees means the enemy is coming closer. A lot of screens in tall grass means they want to confuse you. Birds flying up mean an ambush is near. Animals running away show a sudden attack is coming. High dust means chariots are coming. Low dust spread out means infantry. Dust spreading in different directions shows parties collecting firewood. Dust moving back and forth means the army is setting up camp. Humble talk and more preparations mean the enemy is about to attack. Angry talk and rushing forward mean they will retreat. When light chariots position themselves on the sides, it means the enemy is getting ready for battle. Peace talks without a signed agreement usually mean a trap. When there's a lot of running around and soldiers form ranks, it means the battle is about to begin. If some soldiers advance while others retreat, it's a trap. If soldiers are landing on their spears, they're tired and hungry. If soldiers sent to get water drink it themselves, the army is thirsty. If the enemy sees an opportunity and doesn't act, it means their soldiers are exhausted. If birds gather in one spot, it's unoccupied. Noises at night show nervousness. If there's chaos in camp, the leader has weak control. If flags are moved around, there's unrest. If officers are angry, the soldiers are tired. When an army feeds horses with grain and kills cattle for food, and soldiers don't cook, they are ready to fight to the end. Men whispering in groups or talking quietly shows dissatisfaction. Too many rewards mean the enemy is running out of resources. Too many punishments show they're in great distress. Blustering at first, but then fearing the enemy's numbers shows poor judgment. Compliments from envoys often mean the enemy wants a truce. If the enemy marches up angrily and stays facing you without fighting or leaving, stay alert and cautious. If our army is the same size as the enemy's, it's enough. We can't attack directly, but we can focus on building strength and watching the enemy closely. Those who don't think ahead and underestimate the enemy are sure to be defeated. If you punish soldiers before they trust you, they won't obey and won't be useful. If they trust you but aren't punished, they'll still be ineffective. Treat soldiers kindly at first but maintain strict discipline. This will lead to victory. If commands are always followed during training, the army will be well disciplined. If not, the discipline will be poor. If a general shows confidence in his soldiers and insists on orders being followed, both will benefit. Summary of Chapter 9. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses how to manage the army during a march and how to observe signs of the enemy. He emphasizes the importance of positioning the camp in favorable places, like high ground with sunlight, ensuring that soldiers stay healthy and avoid sickness. The terrain plays a crucial role. When crossing rivers or marshes, it's vital to plan ahead and act quickly. Sun Tzu advises against engaging the enemy near rivers or marshes, but to wait for the right moment to strike when the enemy is vulnerable. The general should avoid dangerous areas like cliffs and thickets, but use them to their advantage to trap the enemy. Observing the enemy's movements and behaviors is key to understanding their plans. For example, dust patterns and animal behavior can signal approaching forces, while signs of nervousness or chaos in their camp indicate weakness. Sun Tzu advises careful observation of the enemy's actions, such as the positioning of chariots or the movement of soldiers, to predict their next move. He also mentions that a well-disciplined army, where soldiers trust their leader and follow orders, is essential for victory. A balance of kindness and strict discipline ensures loyalty and effectiveness in battle. Chapter 10: Terrain. Sun Tzu said, "There are 6 types of grounds: easy-to-move ground, trapping ground, waiting ground, narrow passes, steep heights and far-off positions from the enemy. Ground that both sides can move across freely is called accessible. For this type of ground, get to the high and sunny places before the enemy and protect your supplies. This will help you fight better. Ground that can be left but is hard to take back is called entangling. From this kind of ground, if the enemy isn't ready, you can attack and win. But if the enemy is ready and you don't win, you'll be trapped and disaster will happen. If neither side gains an advantage from being the first to act, it's called temporizing ground. On this type of ground, even if the enemy offers a tempting trap, don't go for it. Instead, retreat to lure the enemy in, then attack when part of their army is out. For narrow passes, if you can take them first, guard them well and wait for the enemy. If the enemy gets to the pass first and it's well guarded, don't try to take it. Only attack if it's weakly defended. For steep heights, if you get there before the enemy, occupy the high, sunny places and wait for them to come up. If the enemy gets there first, don't follow them. Instead, retreat and try to lure them away. If you're far from the enemy and both armies are equal in strength, it's hard to start a fight, and you'll likely lose if you do. These 6 types of ground are important. A good general must understand them. An army can face 6 disasters that come from mistakes by the general, not from nature. These are running away, disobedience, collapse, ruin, disorganization, and defeat. If one army is smaller and fights an army 10 times its size, the smaller force will run away. If the soldiers are too strong and the officers are weak, there will be disobedience. If the officers are too strong and the soldiers too weak, there will be collapse. If the higher officers act out of anger and fight without the commander's orders, the result will be ruin. If the general is weak, unclear in orders, and there's no structure, the army will be disorganized. If the general doesn't understand the enemy's strength and sends a weak force against a strong one, the army will be defeated. These are 6 ways to lose, and any general in charge must avoid them. The natural shape of the land is the soldier's best helper. A great general can understand the enemy, control victory, and handle dangers, distances, and problems. A general who knows these things and uses them in battle will win. A general who doesn't know or use them will lose. If you're sure fighting will lead to victory, you must fight, even if the ruler says no. If you know fighting will lead to defeat, don't fight, even if the ruler says yes. The general who doesn't seek fame, doesn't fear disgrace, and only cares about protecting the country and serving the ruler is the best kind of leader. Treat your soldiers like your children, and they will follow you anywhere. Treat them like beloved sons, and they will stand by you until the end. If you're kind but can't enforce your authority, and you're unable to control disorder, your soldiers will be like spoiled children, useless in battle. If we know our soldiers are ready to attack, but don't know the enemy isn't ready, we're only halfway to victory. If we know the enemy is vulnerable, but don't know our soldiers aren't ready, we're only halfway to victory. If we know the enemy is vulnerable and our soldiers are ready, but we don't know the terrain makes fighting impossible, we're still only halfway to victory. A good soldier never gets confused once he's started moving. Once he's camped, he knows exactly what to do. The saying goes, if you know the enemy and yourself, victory is certain. If you understand the heavens and the earth, you can make victory complete. Summary of Chapter 10. In this chapter, Sun Tzu talks about different types of ground and how to handle them in battle. He explains 6 kinds of terrain: accessible, entangling, temporizing, narrow passes, steep heights, and positions far from the enemy. Each type requires a different strategy for success. For accessible ground, you must occupy the high spots first and guard your supplies. In entangling ground, be careful when retreating, as it can trap you. Temporizing ground calls for waiting for the right moment to strike. Narrow passes should be taken first, while steep heights should be occupied before the enemy does. If you're far from the enemy, it's better not to start a battle. Sun Tzu also talks about 6 ways a general can make mistakes that lead to defeat, such as running away, disobedience, collapse, ruin, disorganization, and rout. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the terrain and the enemy, and knowing when to fight and when to retreat. In the end, the general's role is to lead wisely, care for his soldiers, and focus on protecting the country, not seeking fame or fearing disgrace. A good general uses knowledge and strategy to win battles while avoiding unnecessary risks. Chapter 11, The 9 Situations. Sun Tzu said, "The art of war recognizes 9 types of ground. 1. Dispersive ground. 2. Easy ground. 3. Disputed ground. 4. Open ground. 5. Ground with crossroads. 6. Important ground. 7. Hard ground. 8. Trapped ground. 9. Dangerous ground." When a leader is fighting in their own land, it is dispersive ground. When he has entered enemy land but not too deep, it is easy ground. Ground that gives a big advantage to either side is disputed ground. Ground where both sides can move freely is open ground. Ground that is the key to 3 neighboring states, so that whoever controls it first has control over much of the empire, is ground with crossroads. When an army enters deep into enemy land, leaving strong cities behind, it is important ground. Mountain forests, steep hills, swamps, and marshes, any land that is hard to move through, this is hard ground. Ground that is reached through narrow paths, and from which we can only escape through winding ways, where a small enemy force could defeat many of our men. This is trapped ground. Ground where we can only avoid defeat by fighting immediately is dangerous ground. Do not fight on uneven ground, do not stop on easy ground, do not attack on difficult ground. Do not block the enemy's path on open ground. On crossroads, team up with your allies. On dangerous ground, collect resources. In tough ground, keep moving forward. On trapped ground, use tactics. On hopeless ground, fight. Great leaders of the past knew how to divide the enemy's front and back, stop cooperation between their big and small groups, and prevent good troops from helping the bad, or officers from gathering their men. When the enemy's forces were united, they kept them in chaos. They moved forward when it benefited them. Otherwise, they stayed still. If asked how to deal with a large enemy army ready to attack, I would say, start by taking something important to your opponent, then they will follow your will. Speed is key in war. Take advantage of the enemy's unpreparedness, use surprise paths, and attack weak spots. Here are the principles for an invading force. The deeper you go into a country, the stronger your troops become, and the defenders cannot defeat you. Enter fertile areas to gather food for your army. Take good care of your men and don't wear them out. Save your energy and keep your strength. Keep your army moving and come up with clever plans. Place your soldiers in situations where escape is impossible, and they will choose death over running. If they face death, they can achieve anything. Both officers and men will give their best. In tough situations, soldiers lose their fear. If there's nowhere to hide, they will stay strong. If they are in enemy territory, they will resist. If there's no way out, they will fight hard. So, without being ordered, the soldiers will always be alert. They will follow your orders without asking. They will be loyal without limits, and they can be trusted without needing direct commands. Stop using omens and superstitions. Once you do, you won't fear any disaster until death comes. If our soldiers don't focus on money, it's not because they dislike wealth. If their lives aren't long, it's not because they avoid living longer. On the day they are sent to battle, your soldiers might cry, sitting ones soaking their clothes with tears, and lying ones letting their tears flow. But once they're cornered, they will show bravery like that of Chu or Kui. A skilled tactician is like the Shuai Jan, a snake from the Ch Mountains. Attack its head, and the tail strikes back. Attack its tail, and the head attacks. Attack the middle, and both head and tail will strike you. If asked whether an army can act like the Shuai Jan, I would say yes. The men of Wu and Yue are enemies, but if they're crossing a river together and a storm hits, they'll help each other just like the left hand helps the right. It's not enough to rely on tying up horses and burying chariot wheels in the ground. The key to managing an army is setting one standard of courage that everyone must meet. Knowing how to use both strong and weak positions well is about using the land effectively. A good general leads his army as if guiding one person, no matter the situation. A general's job is to be quiet to keep secrets and fair to maintain order. He should confuse his officers and soldiers with false reports, keeping them completely in the dark. By changing his plans and movements, he keeps the enemy uncertain. Moving his camp and taking winding routes, he stops the enemy from guessing his intentions. At the key moment, the leader acts like someone who climbs a height and removes the ladder. He takes his men deep into enemy land before revealing his strategy. He burns his ships and destroys his supplies. Like a shepherd guiding sheep, he moves his men in all directions, and no one knows where he's headed. Gathering his army and leading them into danger is the general's responsibility. The various strategies for different types of land, the need for either aggressive or defensive tactics, and the basic laws of human nature. These are things that must be studied. When invading enemy territory, the general rule is that going deep creates unity, while going only a little way causes separation. When leaving your country and crossing nearby land, you are on important ground. If there are ways of communication on all sides, it is a place with crossing roads. When you go deep into a country, it is dangerous ground. When you go only a little way, it is easy ground. When the enemy's strongholds are behind you and narrow paths are in front, it is trapped ground. When there is no place to escape, it is hopeless ground. So, on spreading ground, I would encourage my men to stay united. On easy ground, I would make sure all parts of my army are closely connected. On fighting ground, I would move my rear faster. On open ground, I would watch my defenses closely. On land with crossing roads, I would strengthen my alliances. On dangerous ground, I would make sure supplies keep coming. On tough ground, I would keep moving forward. On trapped ground, I would block any escape routes. On hopeless ground, I would tell my soldiers that saving their lives is impossible. A soldier tends to resist stubbornly when surrounded, fight hard when trapped, and obey quickly when in danger. We can't make alliances with nearby rulers until we know their plans. We are unfit to lead an army unless we understand the land, its mountains, forests, dangers, swamps, and marshes. We can't use the land's advantages unless we have local guides. Ignoring any of the following principles is not suitable for a warrior prince. When a warrior prince attacks a strong state, his skill shows in stopping the enemy from gathering forces. He frightens his enemies, and their allies can't join against him. So he doesn't try to ally with everyone or help other states become stronger. He carries out his secret plans, keeping his enemies fearful. This lets him capture their cities and take down their kingdoms. Give rewards without worrying about rules. Give orders without following past plans, and you will control an entire army like it's one man. Show your soldiers the task at hand. Never reveal your plans. When things look good, show them, but keep quiet when things look bad. Put your army in great danger, and it will survive. Put it in a tough spot, and it will come out safely. It is exactly when an army is in danger that it can strike for victory. Winning in war comes from carefully adjusting to the enemy's goal. By constantly attacking the enemy's side, we will eventually succeed in defeating the leader. This is known as getting something done through cleverness. When you take charge, block the border crossings, destroy the official records, and prevent messengers from passing. Be strict in meetings so you can control what happens. If the enemy leaves an opening, take advantage of it quickly. Beat your opponent by taking what is important to him and secretly plan to arrive before him. Follow the rules and adapt to the enemy until you are ready for a final battle. First, act shy and wait for the enemy to give you an opportunity. Then move quickly like a running hare, and it will be too late for the enemy to stop you. Summary of Chapter 11. In this chapter, Sun Tzu outlines the 9 types of ground in warfare: dispersive, easy, disputed, open, crossroads, important, hard, trapped, and dangerous. Each type requires different strategies. For example, on dispersive ground, that is on one's own land, troops may be scattered. On easy ground, that is on enemy territory, not deep, troops are more agile. On disputed ground, both sides have a big advantage, while on open ground, freedom of movement is key. Crossroads control vital areas, and important ground offers strategic advantage. Hard ground, such as mountainous terrain, impedes movement, while trapped ground involves narrow paths and limited escape routes. Dangerous ground requires immediate action to avoid defeat. Effective leadership on each ground demands flexibility. Never fight on uneven ground, avoid stopping on easy terrain, and don't attack on difficult ground. Use the landscape to your advantage, adapt quickly, and confuse the enemy with false reports and changing strategies. Keep your troops moving, maintain morale, and strike decisively when the time is right. A general must guide their army with unity, ensuring they're prepared to fight even when in danger. Managing your army's resources and securing alliances are critical. Strategic deception and swift attacks can turn the tide of war. Success in battle comes from adapting to the enemy's moves and seizing opportunities before they can react. Chapter 12. The Attack by Fire. Sun Tzu said, "There are 5 ways to attack with fire. First, burn soldiers in their camp. Second, burn their supplies. Third, burn their transport. Fourth, burn their weapons and storage. Fifth, throw fire into their ranks." To attack, we must have resources ready. Fire-starting materials should always be prepared. There is a right time to attack with fire and specific days to set it. The best time is during dry weather, and the special days are when the moon is in constellations like the sieve, the wall, the wing, or the crossbar, as these are windy days. When attacking with fire, be ready for 5 possible outcomes. 1. If fire starts in the enemy's camp, attack from the outside immediately. 2. If fire breaks out and the enemy stays calm, wait and don't attack yet. 3. When the fire is strongest, attack if possible. If not, hold your position. 4. If you can use fire to attack from outside, don't wait for it to start inside. Attack when the time is right. 5. When starting a fire, stay upwind. Never attack from downwind. A wind that starts in the day lasts long, but a night breeze quickly stops. Every army must know the 5 uses of fire, study star movements, and choose the right days to act. Using fire in attacks shows wisdom. Using water brings extra power. Water can block the enemy, but cannot take everything they own. Those who fight without creativity will fail, wasting time and making no progress. A wise ruler plans early. A good general builds strong resources. Don't move unless there's a benefit. Don't use troops unless it's worth it. Don't fight unless it's necessary. A ruler should not send troops out of anger. A general should not fight out of frustration. Move forward if it benefits you, otherwise stay put. Anger can turn to happiness, and frustration can become peace over time. A destroyed kingdom cannot be rebuilt, and the dead cannot be revived. A wise ruler is careful, and a good general is cautious. This keeps the country peaceful and the army strong. Summary of Chapter 12. This chapter emphasizes the strategic use of fire as a powerful tool in warfare. Sun Tzu outlines 5 ways to attack with fire: burning the enemy's camp, supplies, transport, weapon storage, and troops. Success in such attacks requires preparation, including having fire-starting materials ready and choosing the right time and weather conditions. Dry weather and specific windy days, indicated by certain constellations, are ideal for launching fire attacks. The chapter explains 5 outcomes of fire attacks. 1. Attack immediately when fire starts in the enemy camp. 2. Wait if the enemy stays calm despite the fire. 3. Attack when the fire is strongest, if possible. 4. Don't wait for fire to start inside if you can attack with fire from outside. 5. Always attack from upwind to avoid being harmed by the fire. Additionally, wind behavior is crucial. Daytime winds last longer, while nighttime breezes are short-lived. Sun Tzu advises that armies must study the 5 uses of fire, understand star movements, and select the right days for action. While fire shows intelligence in strategy, water, though powerful, can only block the enemy and not seize their assets. The chapter ends with guidance on wise decision-making. Rulers and generals must avoid impulsive actions driven by anger or frustration. Movements should be based on clear benefits, ensuring resources are conserved and lives are protected. A kingdom lost cannot be restored, and lives lost cannot return. Hence, caution and wisdom keep both the nation peaceful and the army strong. Chapter 13: The Use of Spies. Sun Tzu said, "Gathering an army of 100,000 and sending them on long marches brings great suffering to the people and drains the state's resources. The daily cost will reach 1,000 ounces of silver. Turmoil will arise both near and far, and men will collapse from exhaustion on the roads. Nearly 700,000 families will have their work disrupted. Armies may stand against each other for years, with the outcome decided in a single day. Given this, refusing to learn about the enemy's state because of reluctance to spend 100 ounces of silver on rewards is deeply inhumane. Anyone who acts this way is neither a leader of men, nor a support to their ruler, nor a bringer of victory. Therefore, it is for knowledge that allows wise rulers and skilled generals to strike, conquer, and achieve what ordinary men cannot. Such foreknowledge does not come from spirits, nor can it be gained through experience or logical reasoning. Understanding the enemy's plans can only come from other people. This is why spies are used, divided into 5 types. 1. Local spies. 2. Internal spies. 3. Converted spies. 4. Expendable spies. And 5. Surviving spies. When all 5 types of spies are in operation, no one can uncover the secret system. This is known as divine manipulation of the threads, the ruler's greatest skill. Using local spies involves hiring the people who live in the area. Using inward spies means relying on officials from the enemy's side. Use converted spies by capturing the enemy's agents and turning them to serve our purposes. Employ doomed spies by performing deceptive acts openly and ensuring our spies inform the enemy about them. Surviving spies are those who successfully return with intelligence from the enemy's camp. Therefore, no one in the entire army should be treated with closer trust than spies. They deserve the greatest rewards, and their work demands utmost secrecy. Spies are only effective when they possess a natural, intuitive wisdom. Managing spies well requires kindness and honesty in dealing with them. A sharp and inventive mind is needed to verify the truth in their reports. Be cunning, be discreet. Use your spies for all types of missions. If a spy leaks a secret before the right time, both the spy and the one they informed must be executed. Whether the goal is to destroy an army, seize a city, or assassinate a target, it is vital to first identify the names of the general's attendants, aides, guards, and sentries. Our spies must be tasked to gather this information. Enemy spies who infiltrate must be found, bribed, persuaded, and treated well. This way, they turn into converted spies working for us. The converted spies' information helps us recruit and deploy both local and internal spies. His intelligence allows us to use doomed spies to send false reports to the enemy. Finally, his insights help us utilize the surviving spy for planned missions. The ultimate purpose of all 5 types of spies is to gather knowledge about the enemy, and this begins with the converted spy. Therefore, they must be treated generously. In ancient times, the Yin dynasty rose with the help of Ai Qi, who once served the Hsia. Similarly, the Chu dynasty rose through Luya, who once served the Yin. Only an enlightened ruler and a wise general use the army's best intelligence for spying, achieving great success. Spies are crucial in war, as they guide the army's movements. Summary of Chapter 13. War demands immense resources, disrupts countless lives, and causes widespread suffering. Success in such endeavors hinges not on brute force alone, but on precise and timely intelligence. Wise leaders understand that knowledge of the enemy's plans and strategies cannot come from mere speculation, intuition, or experience. It must be sourced from people, particularly spies. Spies, the backbone of strategic warfare, are categorized into 5 types. 1. Local spies, people native to the enemy's region. 2. Inward spies, enemy officials recruited to our cause. 3. Converted spies, enemy agents turned to serve us. 4. Expendable spies, used to spread false information to the enemy. 5. Surviving spies, those who return with vital intelligence. When these 5 types operate seamlessly, they create an invisible yet powerful network that ensures victory. This mastery is termed the divine manipulation of the threads. Effective use of spies requires trust, kindness, and fair treatment. They must be rewarded generously, and their efforts kept in utmost secrecy. Managing spies demands sharp minds to verify intelligence and discretion to avoid leaks. A single mishandled secret can lead to dire consequences, including the execution of both the spy and the recipient of the leak. The role of the converted spy is paramount. Their intelligence not only reveals the enemy's secrets, but also aids in recruiting other spies, spreading misinformation, and planning decisive actions. Historical examples highlight the importance of using defectors wisely. The rise of the Yin and Chu dynasties were marked by individuals who shifted loyalties and contributed to their new rulers' success. Ultimately, only enlightened rulers and wise generals understand the critical role of intelligence in warfare. Through their skillful use of spies, they achieve results that ordinary leaders cannot. Spies are the key to victory, guiding every movement and decision in war.